Hey folks, welcome to the track again here for Flat Track Fever 2018. We're going to thank a few sponsors and then get right to the game. First and foremost, Flat Track Fever would like to thank Peterson Contracting for sponsoring our beer garden. Beer garden is open and will remain open at least, I think, probably till the half in the last game, usual protocol. Peterson Contracting is a multi-trade company. You can see us for all your electrical, plumbing, gas, and HVAC needs. Check us out on Facebook, facebook.com/Peterson Contracting. That's Peterson with 2 E's and an O. Also want to thank Nerd Roller Skates in the Vendors Village and here on the track for your specialist for all things roller skate and roller derby, skate fittings, wheels, hardware, protective gear, and more. Open 6 days a week in Calgary and online at nerdskates.com for people who roll. Also want to thank Rydell Skates. Shout out to Rydell, proud sponsor of Flat Track Fever 2018. And just another mention here, Girls on Track Foundation. Girls on Track wants to change the stat of the number of girls that are dropping out of sports twice the rate of boys. Listen more about expanding access to roller derby for girls and their teens at girlsontrackfoundation.org. Now, starting lineup here for the Nuclear Free. Looks like Gypsy Joe taking the starting line, Bellicose Blonde the opposing jammer. Here as we get started in this game. With the first whistle, big hit coming up from Bellicose Blonde onto number 22. That is Shell on Earth taking that hit. Oh, no, sorry. My mistake. Schmidt Disturber taking that hit. Back coming into turn 2 now. No lead established just yet. Gypsy Joe with a big push towards the front. Getting forced to the inside. Almost at turn 3, coming all the way back to turn 2. Bellicose Blonde with defensive wall of their own. And a sprint down the outside. First lead jam to Redneck Betty's Bellicose Blonde. Gypsy Joe not too far behind. Both jammers free of the pack here in the first. And on their first point pass now, Bellicose Blonde with a quick tiptoe over the fourth turn. What's the result? It'll be 4-3. Redneck Betty's picking up 3, Nuclear Free picking up 4. A 1-point differential at the end of Jam 1 here in this game.
Lining up now, we're going to have Chow Mein going up for the Southwest Saskatchewan Roller Derby. Redneck Betty's up against Lady Mac Death for the Nuclear Free Boom. Chow Mein's going to find an open line on that outside of the track, and she's going to skip right on through there. Grab a quick lead jam. Lady Macbeth is going to find her own way through there as well. Chow Mein was able to find that 4 sets of hips as she gets past and calls that one off. That's going to allow them, Redneck Betty's, to grab another 4, bringing them up to 7 now. Nuclear Free Boom unable to take any points on that one. So we're going to have now Pixelated going up against Marauder for the Nuclear Free Boom.
Third jam underway now in the starting zone. A lead established nice and early by Pixelated. Pack hasn't made it quite to the pivot line just yet. Marauder still looking for an opportunity. Finds it on the inside of turn 1. Past Gray Skull. Both jammers on the point pass now.
Pixelated getting a little bit of help from her team there as she works around that outside line. Both jammers there able to get through, grab that 4 points. Marauder now able to get ahead of Pixelated as they come into that 4th corner. Pixelated getting a little bit slammed there as she goes to the ground and calls that one off. Allowed allowing herself to grab one before the whistles blow.
Returning to the jam line on both sides, Bellicose Blonde and Gypsy Joe in blue and white, respectively. Jam 4 coming right up. Current score 12-18. Redneck Betty's leading the charge here. 26 minutes on the clock. Both jammers starting with the outside line in the starting zone here. And getting caught up in the action as they pull into turn 2 along with the pack. Coming out this time around, Gypsy Joe and lead jam for Nuclear Free.
Couple big hits laid down as there is a star pass. Now General Lee is going to wear the star for the Redneck Betties, although not for very long, as Gypsy Joe calls that one off. So we're going to see Lady Macbeth again lined up here with Chow Mein. Chow Mein working on the inside, going to get moved around there by Mexi Crash.
Chow Mein getting forced to the outside by Dame Tamer. And Lady Macbeth leading the charge here for Nuclear Free. Chow Mein on the reapproach, just not quite there at the right time. 3 points on the board for Redneck Betties at the end of, or sorry, for Nuclear Free. No, that was right. Did the points go to the wrong side? It was 3 points to white, not to blue. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. You're right. That brings Nuclear Free to 14 points now.
Pixelated now jamming for the Redneck Betties and jamming for the Nuclear Free Boom. That is Marauder again. Marauder getting held right in the center of that first corner. Pixelated working their way around. Everybody getting kind of jammed up in the second here, as Pixelated is going to be able to outrun one of the blockers there for the Nuclear Free Boom. Redneck Betty's all trying to knock Marauder out. Gypsy Joe now going to go up against a Bellicose Blonde.
Empty penalty box, 5 on 5. Actually, I don't think we've seen any penalties yet, have we?
I think it's been a very clean game compared to some of the ones we've had earlier today.
Yeah.
But of course, as we come into that first corner, the bodies are hitting the floor.
Gypsy Joe terrorizing the track. Bellicose Blonde found an opening though. Take advantage and lead jam to Redneck Betty's. Gypsy Joe not too far behind.
Generally was on the chase there trying to catch up to Gypsy Joe.
Just looking at the point count here. Redneck Betty's picked up 1. Nuclear Free will get 3 in Jam 7. That'll bring their score to 17 and a 1-point lead, as well as a lead change. Nuclear Free now in the forefront. Redneck Betty's only behind by 1. 21 minutes, 55 seconds remaining.
And the Redneck Betties are able to grab a lead jam, as that is Chow Mein. Of course, Nuclear Free Boom isn't very far behind as Lady Macbeth. This is a pairing I think we might see a little more often as this night goes on, as there's a few of those teal jerseys all fall into the floor.
Four-point jam for Nuclear Free. Redneck Betties with 2 more. And Nuclear Free now with a 3-point lead at 21. 21 minutes remaining. 8 jams already in the first half. Lots of really quick, pick up a few points, call it off. Low scoring, but quick jams for sure.
Yeah, it most certainly has been very fast. We've seen that used a couple times today. Some of these packs and jammers really picking up the speed, trying to spread it out a little bit. We'll see what happens now as Pixelated is going to go up against Marauder. And Pixelated is going to come around that first corner and get away from that pack, so that'll allow her the lead jam. As Marauder's going stuck up against General Lee, but she's going to do a little bit of fancy footwork and get past to complete the initial. Pixelated finds that inside seam, grabs those 4 points when she calls that off before Marauder can catch back up to the pack and grab any of their own.
Lead change once again as Redneck Betties put 4 more on the board, keeping Nuclear Free from picking up any points in Jam 9. Just over 20 minutes remaining in the first half. Gypsy Joe and Bellicose Blonde returning to the jam line once more.
Bellicose Blonde finds a quick seam on that outside right before the pivot line. She's able to great move and get that lead jammer.
Pack pulling into the stretch. Bellicose Blonde thought maybe had to go back, but getting the signal that this is okay to pass. 4 points. Nuclear Free, Gypsy's Joe picked up 2 additional as well, and they're in Jam 10. 19 minutes, 10 seconds remaining. Returning jammers on both sides, Chow Mein and Lady Macbeth in teal and white, respectively. Again, penalty box empty. We haven't really seen anything yet. Team timeout has been called by the Redneck Betties.
And of course, it's an excellent time when there's a timeout to talk about things that I find very interesting, and one of those things that I really enjoy is food. So, we'd like to say a big thank you to Buffalo Wild Wings, your all-ages sports bar. 1 block west, 1 block south on McLeod Trail. They're supplying some food for us today. Keep the officials happy and well-nourished. And if you head on in there, make sure you mention Team D, as in dog, to help support the Junior Roller Derby. As well, if you like wild wings, you probably like beer, so make sure you check out the Peterson Contracting Beer Garden. Peterson Contracting is a multi-trade company. All your electrical, plumbing, gas, and HVAC needs, you can check them out. Facebook.com/Peterson Contracting. And don't forget as well to check out over in Vendors Village all the wonderful people we have. Mount Royal University is here today, providing massages right on site. Whether you need just some relaxation or maybe you have a condition that requires a therapeutic treatment, their students are trained to the highest standards nationally and can meet your requirements. All back to the action. Chow Mein and Lady Macbeth lined up on the jammer line.
Lady Macbeth threw, looks like potentially first, but didn't do it legally. Ends up being not a lead jam, but Chow Mein coming out second. Lead jam in hand for Redneck Betties. All the power to call it off on the reapproach to the pack now.
And we have the first penalty now. We're going to have a high block call issued to number 69, Grayskull of the Redneck Betties. Chow Mein tries to fight through there, getting hung up there by Milady. And as the dominoes start to fall, as they say, we have another penalty, a cut track now, issued to number 550 Watson.
Big 12-point jam for Nuclear Free, bringing their score to 35 points now. Redneck Betties with an additional 8 brings them to 34. Nuclear Free with a 1-point lead here with 17 minutes and 30 seconds remaining after 11 jams in the first half.
Little bit of confusion as they try and figure out who's going to line up where now. Pixelated. And the whistle blows. I think it's an official timeout.
Scorekeeping issue.
Looks like they're trying to adjust and clarify some scorekeeping.
Yeah, so Nuclear Free actually now at 40 points. Redneck Betty's at 34, so 6-point difference here in Jam 12.
Pixelated jamming for the Redneck Betties is able to take that first. And we have a power jam now for Pixelated as Marauder has been sent to the box for a forearm. Redneck Betty's at full strength now, going to try and use some offensive work as Pixelated goes one-on-one with Fish, and she's able to get past, grabbing that 5 points. Pixelated is going to come into that pack and end up running into Argentina. Gets past her, heads up to that tripod. Her team starts to set up for some offensive maneuvers, but she's able to get through. And as she sees Marauder come back onto the track, she calls that one off after grabbing another 5 points. That's a 15-point rack and score for Redneck Betties.
I believe that's also a lead change.
I do believe so.
Redneck Betty's now taking back the lead. Nuclear Free holding at 36. As we approach the quarter mark in this game, Gypsy Joe and Bellicose Blonde on the jam line. Some posturing going on off the whistle.
That pack spread out a little bit closer to the pack blocker line this time. Gypsy Joe knocked to the inside. However, she's not able to get the lead jam on that one as it's a no pass, no penalty. But we do have a clockwise block violation being issued. I don't know to who because there are 2 of them going for a penalty. And then the 4 whistles go. And it looks like the Nuclear Free Boom is able to grab 4 points. Redneck Betty's unable to grab anything there, so that's going to leave them at 49. Redneck Betty's and the Nuclear Free Boom now up to 40, 15 minutes remaining. And of course, if I say Chow Mein, that means Lady McDeath is going to follow right behind, as these two seem to keep getting paired very well. Like steak and a red wine, you know, they just go together so well. And Lady McDeath is going to find a little bit of space to the inside there, though that's going to get her through for that lead jam. As Chow Mein is bumping shoulders there with the blocker and the pivot, she's able to get through for the initial pass. Lady McDeath is going to get knocked out there by General Lee, but she calls it off while she's able to grab 3 more points. That'll hold the Betties scoreless on that one.
Oh my goodness. I know, you screw up, I know. And Pixelated and number 28 on the Nuclear Free side, Marauder, going shoulder to shoulder here in Jam 15. Marauder coming out first, lead jam for Nuclear Free. Pixelated not that far behind as the pack speeds up to turn 3.
Here's that speed we were talking about as that pack grabs a little bit of speed coming into the third turn. Marauder's going to go in there and try and grab at least a point when she calls it off, and she is successful at that. 1 point picked up. Bellicose Blonde, now Gypsy Joe lined up together. Bellicose trying to find something on the outside, not working as well as she might hope, so she gets knocked to the inside now. That is number 50, Slamazonian, bouncing around on Gypsy Joe there. Slamazonian tries to chase down Gypsy Joe, but she's not quite able as she's going to get through for her initial pass. As if I didn't have enough saying Slamazonian's name, she's going to give a hand to Bellicose Blonde and give her a little push there. She gets out through the pack and grabs 4.
After 16 jams in the first half, Redneck Betty's retaining the lead at 53, 9 points ahead of Nuclear Free with 12 minutes remaining.
Donning the star for the first time in this game, Malcry now for the Redneck Betties, going up against Lady McDeath.
Well, that's an interesting change-up. I don't think I've seen Malcry jam yet.
This is her first for this time. And although it did look like she was the lead coming around into that third corner, she was not given lead jam, so that allowed Lady McDeath to call that one off before any points are scored. Strategies we see fairly often, especially in a low-scoring game like this, where sometimes it's better just to call it off and keep the score where it is than allow somebody to start racking them up.
Yeah, so interestingly enough, Malcry's back on the jam line here, up against Marauder.
And a clockwise block violation now being assessed to the pivot for the Nuclear Free Boom. Schmidt Disturber. Malcry on her second jam. This time she was able to grab lead jammer. As Marauder is fighting through there, she's going to get in a little bit of a foot race, held up just enough to allow. But we do have a penalty being issued. I'm not quite sure what the call was, but that is going to go to Shell on Earth.
I believe it was a destruction call, perhaps. A destruction of pack. Shell on Earth will serve that penalty and start in the next jam in the penalty box.
With that now, 10 minutes, 59 for the Redneck Betties, 45 for the Nuclear Free Boom.
Sorry, correction on that. It was a failure to return on that call for Shell on Earth. So absolutely right, it is a little one, but necessary.
Gypsy Joe battling against two of those Redneck Betties. Unfortunately, she was pushed out and is going to get dragged back as Pixelated is going to get that lead jam. Pixelated is going to get bumped around there a little bit by Watson. Gypsy Joe right back in the fold there now. She's going to get a little bit of pushing and shoving from Bashan Bindi. That's going to allow a 5-point pickup for Pixelated as Gypsy Joe still struggling to get through that pack as she's going to get dragged back by Chow Mein. And the whistle goes. 5 points picked up for the Redneck Betties.
team timeout has been called by the Nuclear Free side of things. Redneck Betty's at 69, Nuclear Free trailing by 24 now. 8 minutes, 34 seconds remaining on the clock after 19 jams. We might go 24 or 25 jams in this half, which is a lot of quick jams for sure.
I'm not sure, Stay Puft, if you've seen if we hit any 2-minute jams. I don't think so this first half.
Not in this game, no. And very few penalties. I mean, thus far it's been a pretty clean game. And the score is fairly close as well, which is good. Nice exciting action for the folks down here at the Acadia Recreation Center for Flat Track Fever 2018. Coming up this evening, the next and final game of the day is an exhibition game. The Calgary Roller Derby Association All-Stars will be taking on the Chinook City, your host league's own Reservoir Dogs. So it'll be the All-Star women, who I don't know what their current rank is, but they're somewhere in the 60s, I think, for WFTDA versus the Glenmore Reservoir Dogs. So it's going to be a good exhibition game a little bit later tonight.
You bet it will. Now we're going to have Lady McDeath going up against a little bit of a switch for her now. She's going to be going up against Bellicose Blonde, as everybody's kind of stuck right at the start there. And a multiplayer block being issued to number 7-0. Sorry, 747 round trip, but she is being joined by one of the Nuclear Free Boom as well. And by the looks of it, she's going to get joined by Bellicose Blonde as well, so that's going to give Nuclear Free Boom a power jam. And they're losing another player to penalty. Grayskull is going to go sit down for a while.
Having a jammer swap as Lady McDeath was still serving a penalty, so the jammers did a bit of a switcheroo there. Bellicose Blonde serving the remaining time from the Lady McDeath's penalty. Now back on the track and engaging the pack. This will be our first 2-minute jam of the game.
And we were just saying, too, about how clean of a game it's been, and all of a sudden we filled the penalty box up.
Maybe we shouldn't have said anything.
Slamazonian coming in there, pushing her weight around a little bit. Lady McDeath is able to grab 4 points on this pass. And it seems slowly but surely that penalty box has emptied. Both teams now back up to full strength. A little bit of calamity happening in that first corner, though. As the Redneck Betties are able to grab another 4 points from Bellicose Blonde. And 4 points as well for Nuclear Free Boom's Lady McDeath. And a big hit there as Lady McDeath ran headlong right into Grayskull. And the 2 minutes are up, the whistles go.
Nuclear Free chipping away at that lead. 11 points in Jam 20, puts them at 56. Redneck Betties, though, with 7 of their own, puts them at 76. A 20-point game currently after 20 jams. 6 minutes, 8 seconds remaining. And an official review has been requested by Nuclear Free.
Of course, you know, as the skaters are staying hydrated, the announcers are staying hydrated, the officials are all staying hydrated. Sometimes the spectators need to stay hydrated. And what a better way than with a little bit of beer. Of course, Peterson Contracting sponsoring our beer garden at the 7th annual Flat Track Fever. So if you want to go check out that beer garden, go right on ahead. I hear they got a very good selection. And of course, Peterson Contracting, a multi-trade company. Check them out for your electrical, plumbing, gas, and HVAC needs. And you know, we also want to thank Nerd Roller Skates. Just so happens to be the specialist for all thing roller skate and roller derby. skate fittings, wheels, hardware, protective gear, and more. Open 6 days a week in Calgary and online at nerdskates.com for people who roll. And of course, with Nerd Roller Skates, Rydell Skates is also out sponsoring us this year. Experience unmatched stability and response in a simplified, revolutionary design. The Powerdyne Iris Platinum Performance redefined. And Steve Puff, you want to learn an interesting fact today?
I like interesting facts.
Did you know that by age 14, girls are dropping out of sports at twice the rate of boys?
That's shameful.
It is, but there is the Girls on Track Foundation. And of course, they're out there to try and change that stat. You can learn more about expanding access to roller derby for girls in their teens at girlsontrackfoundation.org.
Well, that's a worthy cause.
So the official review there, Nuclear Free Boom, was looking for a back block call on the Redneck Betty's jammer near the end of that last jam. However, it was decided that they would not get that call in their favor, so they're going to lose that official review. And that whistle blows. We mean we're 5 seconds away from getting started now. Chow Mein going up against Marauder now. Marauder with a big hit by General Lee, center flying to the outside of that track. General Lee working alongside there with glitter guns. That's going to allow Chow Mein now to get through, grab that lead. And somewhere along the way, I did hear a whistle blew. I looked over to the penalty box, and sure enough, one of the blue team was headed over there. That shell on earth going to sit down for a little while. Chow Mein makes a pass through, grabs 4 points, and calls that one off before Nuclear Free is able to get in there and grab any of their own.
4 points added to the Redneck Betty score puts them at 80 points. Nuclear Free no score in Jam 21. Just over 5 minutes remaining here in this very exciting first half of the game. Our next jammer lineup will be Pixelated in teal, number 72. Up against returning jammer Gypsy Joe 1111 for Nuclear Free in white.
Pixelated working on that inside, able to bounce her way out as Gypsy Joe kind of bounces around the outside. Redneck Betties are going to grab a little bit of speed to their plan now. As Pixelated goes in there flying, she's able to grab 4 points, calls that one off before Gypsy Joe's able to get in there and grab any of her own. Lady McDeath now is going to go up against, I'm not sure, it's a slow start. Bellicose Blonde is who that is. Lady McDeath is going to work along that inside, is knocked out of the track, so that's going to force that reset. As Bellicose Blonde is working now, stuck up against number 518. That's Mexi Crash. Lady McDeath was able to get through there first. That's going to give that lead jam. Slamazonian going to stand right there and try and slam into Lady McDeath. But she is able to get through a couple sets of hits, grabs 3 points. 2 points picked up for the Redneck Betties on that one as well.
On the jam line for Nuclear Free, Marauder returning. Up against also returning jammer for Redneck Betty's Chow Mein.
Chow Meen's going to get a little bit of help from Melkery there as she tries to push through. Knocked to the inside, forced to reset, but she's going to kind of pinball around that track. That's going to get her through first for that lead. So Marauder still trying to fight through, getting chased down by Melkery. I heard a whistle, and it looks like it's Chow Meen getting a cut track penalty. So that's going to allow a power jam now for Nuclear Free Boom's Marauder. Marauder's going to get some help as her teammates come in there and try and set up some offense. No pack is formed, forced to start reforming. That's going to allow her to slip through, grab 5 points. Marauder keeps getting knocked to the inside by Glitter Guns. General Lee up there along with Round Trip as well, making it difficult, but she's able to get through. That's going to score her another 5 points, but back on the track now, Chow Meen makes it through and grabs 4 of her own. But we do have a penalty being issued to one of the Nuclear Free Boom blockers. That looks like number 550 Watson. Chow Meen not wasting any time back on the track after that penalty. She's able to rack up another 4 points. As General Lee along with Round Trip and Melkery all set up there trying to stop Marauder from getting through.
After 24 jams, we're into the final minute of play here. The last jam was a bit of a wash, 13-13 for both teams. Current score, Redneck Betty sitting at just under 100 at 99. Nuclear Free at 72.
Gypsy Joe is going to give Pixelated a little bit of a hit right off that line. And it must have worked something because she was able to find a seam and get that lead jam, but Pixelated's not going to stay very far behind. As that pack grabs a little more speed now. A little bit of calamity there. Gypsy Joe goes in there fast, makes it to the front of the pack and calls that one off. Able to grab 4 points. Holds Pixelated scoreless to that one.
I think that's exactly what Gypsy Joe wanted, was let's boot it as fast as we can. I'll hit the fort to hit it, and we'll finish off the half strong with those 4 points. Great first half from these two teams. Come on back in just less than 15 minutes for the second half of Redneck Betties versus Nuclear Free. As we leave you, just a 23-point difference between the scores. It's going to be a very exciting second half, so come on back for that.
You betcha. And of course, a little better than 9 minutes and we'll come back. And if you got time during that and you're looking for something to do, check out the beer gardens. Go check out Vendor Village. JK Leggings and Apparels over there. Mount Royal University providing some massages, as well as Young Living, your essential oils and blends station. Origami, Owl Custom Jewelry, Creative Vitality, and the Southern Alberta Junior Roller Derby as well. And we're getting ready to start the second half of this fantastic game between the Redneck Betties, currently with a score of 99, and the Nuclear Free Boom with a score of 76. It's going to be Gypsy Joe going up against Bellicose Blonde. Bellicose Blonde is going to be able to find that inside. Grabs lead jam. Gypsy Joe does a little bit of fancy footwork to get past Slamazonian as she throws her hips out there. Bellicose Blonde gets knocked to the inside, calls that one off. That's going to hold Gypsy Joe scoreless there as Bellicose Blonde is able to grab one. So now we're on the start for the first time this game. Dame Tamer is going to go up against Chow Mein. Chow Mein's going to make it past Lady Macbeth for a quick outside run. Takes that lead jam as Dame Tamer is getting knocked around by General Lee. Dame Tamer tripped up there a little bit. Looks like that was a bit of the handiwork of Gray Skull, as Chow Mein was able to get through on her first scoring pass, picking up 5. Chow Mein makes it through for another 5 as Dame Tamer now trying to get through. She's going to go one-on-one with Gray Skull as Malky comes in to assist along with General Lee. Dame Tamer's going to have Lady Macbeth there to help her out now. As Chow Mein finds another quick break, she racks up another 5 points. Dame Tamer still struggling to get through on that inside of the track. Chow Mein makes it through, grabs another 5 points. She's racking him up on this one. Chow Mein's able to grab another 5, and it looks like we do have a star pass. That's Lady Macbeth now holding that helmet cover. Couple whistles go. Looks like General Lee has received a penalty. Chow Mein is now making it through again for another 5-point pass. So able to make it through, puts that star on her head. That's Lady Macbeth. Very good to see as Babe Ruthless was able to take herself off the track. That last jam, that was a 33-point score for the Redneck Betties, up at 133. The Nuclear Free Boom at 76. Pixelated now going up against Marauder. Marauder's going to get through and grab that lead jam to start with. Pixelated trying to work through there, getting a little bit of help. She's having a hard time now. She goes up against 518 Mexi Crash. Mexi Crash is going to hold Pixelated there just before that first corner as Marauder gets through, able to pick up 5 points as we have a couple bodies falling all over the ground there. Marauder headed into that second corner now, trying to grab it. Marauder able to get through there, grab that. Looks like we do have a illegal position penalty, as well as number 01, General Lee, has been issued 2 penalties. Marauder able to make it through once again, grabs another 5 points. Now number 550, Watson, is going to hold up Pixelated as a couple of them trip over. Looks like we had a star pass now. A 747 round trip is carrying, or more appropriately, has that star on their head as Marauder lines up to try and rack up a couple more points. She's able to get through, grabs another 4, and calls that one off. So that's a 20-point jam now for Marauder. Grab. Help close in that distance. 24, sorry. Help close that down a bit now as it's 100 for the Nuclear Free Boom to 133 for the Redneck Betties. Gypsy Joe lined up now for the Nuclear Free Boom, going up against Bellicose Ballon for the Redneck Betties. A couple people go piling over top of each other. A couple of the Redneck Betties fell over one another. But Gypsy Joe does have that lead jam now. Bellicose Blonde trying to chase her down. And a whole lot of whistles. Might be a penalty coming out of there. I'm not entirely sure yet. So yes, it is a penalty. That's going to be number 2-2, Schmidt Disturber. It's going to be served a penalty, so that's going to start the Nuclear Free Boom without their pivot. And we have a timeout being called to the Redneck Betties. Of course, a fantastic Of course, a fantastic time now to talk about some of our fantastic sponsors. Nerd Roller Skates, your specialist for all things roller skate and roller derby. Skate fittings, wheels, hardware, protective gear, and more. Open 6 days a week in Calgary and online at nerdskates.com. For people who roll just like Chow Mein and 8, Dame Tamer. Dame Tamer able to knock over a couple of those blue blockers as she's going to get through there. Chow Mein's going to get pushed to the outside. Malkery throws a little bit of a hip check out there, knocks Dame Tamer out, forces her to reset, so she's going to call that one off. It's going to allow Dame Tamer to pick up 1 point. Nuclear Free Boom now 101, Redneck Betties 133.
Next up on the jam line, we have number 72, Pixelated for the Redneck Betties, taking on number 28, Moroder.
Marauder with a little bit of a shove right off the get-go to Pixelated. Pixelated knocked to the outside by Fish, forcing her to reset back to the pivot line. On the other side of the track, coming around that second corner now, Marauder stuck between two of those blockers for the Redneck Betties as she's able to get through and grabs lead jam. Looks like Pixelated was forced out and resets again as Marauder gets a nice little bit of a pick there from Watson. That's going to allow her to roll through and grab those 5 points.
Fish and Friend holding the pivot on the front of the pack there, focusing on the pivot because she indeed had the helmet cover in her hands and is now the jammer.
Marauder's going to get held up there by Shell on Earth and call that one off after she's able to grab 1 point.
So this next jam starting with nobody in the penalty box. We have number 476 taking on number quadruple ones.
That's Bellicose Blonde going up against Gypsy Joe. Bellicose trying to work through there. Slamazonian looks like she's trying to set a nice pickup.
Meanwhile, Gypsy Joe taking the inside line to get lead jam.
And we do have a cut track being called on Bellicose Blonde. So that's going to allow Gypsy Joe a little bit of a power jam as she runs back into the wall of blue and gets tumbled over there along with another one of the blue blockers. But she calls that one off after being able to grab 3 points. So with that now down to 20 minutes of the second half of this game, 110 for the Nuclear Free Boom Redneck Betties, 133.
So Boo will be starting this in a power start. Lady Macbeth facing no opposition on the jam line.
And we see that where those Nuclear Free Boom goes the other way, forces that no pack situation. That allows a little bit of a release, if you will. Lady Macbeth is able to get through and grab a quick lead jam. Lady Macbeth gets forced to the outside there. Dragged all the way back to the end of that second corner. Lady Macbeth goes in there, ends up going right into the number 1-4, Bashan Bindi. But she's able to get through, grabs those 5 points.
Boom blocker spreading out in front of the pack, ultimately letting her out.
Whistles go on that one. Nuclear Free Boom closing in on that gap now as they're able to grab another 7 points on that jam. That's going to bring them up to 117. Redneck Betties remain scoreless there, so that's 133 for them. 8 jams completed in the second half of this game as we're down to about 18 and a half minutes. Chow Mein now going to line up alongside of Marauder. That pack starting right on that jam line, not allowing many people to get very far. And we do have a cut track penalty issued to Chow Mein, so that's going to allow the Nuclear Free Boom's Marauder a chance to try and rack up some points.
So good opportunity for Boom to gain some points and close the gap on the scoreboard. Murata working hard in turn 2, getting past one of those blockers in the inside line, but some solid water falling up, ultimately getting through on turn 3.
Marauder knocked to the outside there with the collective force of Melcree and Slamazonian. Marauder's able to grit through. That's going to grab her 5 points as she grabs 10 on the jam. And the whistles go. Chow Mein unable to grab any there. That lead is slowly closing in as the Nuclear Boom is now up to 127. So we're going to have Dame Tamer lined up now against Pixelated. Dame Tamer's going to take a little bit of a running start there and kind of hops past the start of that blue blocker line.
Dame Tamer pushing heavily on number 01 and ultimately getting through.
Low block being called to white 2-2. That is Schmidt Disturber. As Dame Tamer now up at the front, stuck against General Lee as she gets hit by number 5-1. Who, by the looks of it, has received a penalty as well. They're going to go sit this one down. So that's going to allow Dame Tamer to grab another 4 points for that one.
So Boom really closing the gap. We're at only 2-point differential, so a few jams there with points only for Nuclear Free.
You betcha. Now at that 15-minute mark, Nuclear Boom has really put on that point comeback as they were down 30 points not that long ago. So Gypsy Joe lined up now, going to go up against Melcree. Gypsy Joe finds an inside line. Melcree gets stuck up against it, that jammer line, so that's going to give Gypsy that lead jam.
Melcree getting through with some help from her pivot.
Gypsy Joe is able to grab a little bit of footwork and she gets through, grabs 4 points. Gypsy Joe untouched, gets through there, able to pick up 5 points when she calls that one off. So with that 9-point jam, that's going to give Nuclear Free Boom a lead now. That's a lead change, first time, second half, 140 for the Nuclear Free Boom. Redneck Betty's now 133 with 14 minutes remaining.
So this jam will be up to Bella Close Blonde and Morador to put some points on the board. Nuclear Free going back from the jam line to looking to hold Blonde.
Bellicose Blonde is getting knocked around there, kind of like a pinball between Cherry Von Villain.
Morador's cycled back and facing 3 blockers. Bella Close Blonde getting through and managing to get lead jam.
Looks like we do have a penalty issue to one of the Redneck Betties as they're going to lose a blocker. However, Marauder's able to get through, completes her initial pass. As Bellicose Blonde calls that one off after she's able to grab 4, but sees that Marauder is coming back to try and grab some of her own.
Next up, lining up is Pixelated taking on Gypsy Joe. Redneck Betty starting with just 3 blockers. Bashing Bindi starting in the penalty box.
Pixelated trying to use General Lee as a battering ram to push her way through there as Gypsy Joe does a little bit of a hop there at that second corner and gets through for lead jam, but Pixelated absolutely bowls over, I believe that was number Mexi Crash 518. Gypsy Joe falls to the ground there and calls that one off. Able to grab a couple points before the Redneck Betties are able to get in there and grab any of their own.
So this close a game, we'll certainly see both teams just carving away at a point here, a point there to keep it nice and close together.
You betcha, with just a little less than 12 minutes, 137 for the Redneck Betties. Nuclear Free Boom leading at 142.
Next we have Malcry taking on Lady Macbeth, both of them doing a little shifty feet before the whistle goes. Malcry moving her white wall out of her way into the inside and going on the outside line to get lead jam status. Lady Macbeth getting through on turn 2.
One of the Nuclear Free Booms went for a big slide.
Both teams taking the chance to get set up on the line. Bella Close Blonde getting ready to take on Marauder. And with that whistle, they're off.
Bellicose Blonde able to get out just before that second corner for lead jam, but Marauder almost spits out in the same position.
Pack picking up pace as they head into turn 3. Pretty spread out, and blockers trying to do some to clear some space. Bella Close Blonde calling it off before Marauder can get any points.
Yeah, Bellicose Blonde able to grab those 4 points there before the Nuclear Free Boom were able to grab any of their own. So now we're back within 1 point as the Nuclear Free Boom still lead at 146. And the Redneck Betties now 145, 9.5 minutes remaining. This has been an exceptionally close game.
Gypsy Joe and Pixelated ready at the jam line for number 6 jam 16.
Pixelated gets picked up right away by Schmidt Disturber. As she's knocked to the inside, that's going to force that reset.
Gypsy Joe continuing to move back and forth in the lanes at the front, still facing a challenge from 2 green teal blockers, getting through for lead jam just before turn 2. Pack picking up some speed into turn 3.
Redneck Betties force out Gypsy Joe to the inside. She waves that one down. We're going to end that one scoreless. You're not going to get any bigger of a lead or lose the lead if you end it before anybody scores the point. So that one's going to remain a 1 point difference as Malcry and Dame Tamer now line up.
Malcry choosing to line up right at the line, whereas Dame Tamer starting a few feet back. Malcry pushed to the outside, then the inside, and being cycled back behind the jammer line. Meanwhile, Dame Tamer in turn 1 pushed out, and having to work her way through.
Valkyrie's going to find some space to the outside of that track, just between the first and second corner, and she's going to get lead jam. As Dame Tamer does a little bit of work there past one of the downed blockers.
Valkyrie getting a few points between turns 2 and 3 there and calling off the jam before Dame Tamer can get through.
Looks like Valkyrie's going to grab 3 on that one, so now we're going to have the lead change now for the Redneck Betties, 148. Nuclear Free Booms, 146, with 7 minutes and about 15 seconds remaining.
Both teams doing well to have a few penalty-free jams. It always makes a big difference when there's a full set of 4 blockers out there to help those jammers and can keep a game nice and close like this.
You betcha, as Bellicose Blonde now is going to take on Marauder.
Marauder facing a couple strong, big blockers there, but sneaking through on 1 foot on the inside line.
Marauder calling that one off before Bellicose Blonde can try and get ahead of her and rack any points up.
So Pixelated ready to take on Gypsy Joe as we head into this next jam. Pixelated charging right through to that wall and meeting the mother hen of Malady. Ultimately getting through to lead jam on the inside line.
Pixelated's not going to have it easy as Gypsy Joe's going to chase her down right into that second corner. Pixelated goes running in there. She's able to grab 2 points. Gypsy Joe 1. Redneck Betty's able to pull that lead now to 150. Nuclear Free Boom 147. 5.5 minutes remaining.
Valkyrie and Lady McDeath getting ready to add some more points to the board. Valkyrie chooses to take the inside line, getting lean jam. Meanwhile, Lady Macbeth continuing to fight a 4-wall of teal in turn 1. Slamazania and Chow Mein continuing to hold as they get spread out into turn 3. Some quality teamwork there to hold that jammer back. Finally managing to twist through on her initial pass in turn 4.
Valkyrie able to grab 5 points on that last scoring pass. Runs in fast, tries to get past the hips of at least one, and she does, so she's able to grab 1 point on top of the ones she had before. That's going to give her 6. 156 now for the Redneck Betties. Nuclear Free Boom 147, 4.5 minutes. Bellicose Blonde and Marauder now. Bellicose Blonde trying a little bit of a spin move there, right up against the back of 82.
Marauder going up against a strong 3-wall of blockers, getting just pushed out on that corner 1. Quickly re-entering and getting inside to get lead jam, so taking advantage of the space.
Marauder goes in there. Looks like a little bit of penalties drawn up at the end there. It looks like Marauder was issued a cut track penalty at the end there, so she's going to be forced to sit this one out.
And at the same time, their pivot got a destruction of pack.
So Nuclear Free now going to start this one with only 3 blockers and short their jammer, whereas the Redneck Betties are going to be able to start this one full strength. Currently in the lead, 156 to the Nuclear Free Boom's 147.
Yeah.
With just 3 minutes.
And recognizing that opportunity, the Redneck Betties have chosen to take a team timeout and are conversing. So Pixelated will be the jammer getting this power start for the Redneck Betties. Redneck Betties choosing to start with one of their O up at the front. Pretty quickly, everyone's skating some laps, but ultimately Pixelated gets through with relative ease.
Redneck Betties are going to be issued another illegal position failure to reform call, as Grayskull's going to go sit down.
Malady working with Dame Tamer to hold back Pixelated and turn forward. Fortunately, Dame Tamer getting a direction of play on that.
Dame Tamer was issued a penalty for a clockwise block violation, so that's going to force Nuclear Free Boom to go down 1 blocker. As now the blocker for the Nuclear Free Boom is back on the track. That's the pivot now wearing the star. That's Schmidt to Sturber. As Pixelated calls that one off after she's able to grab a few more points, extend that lead. Redneck Betties managed now to get the point score up to 165. Nuclear Free Boom's 147.
So right now we have a couple of the Redneck Betties in the box and Dame Tamer in the box for Boom. So our string of penalty-free jams has come to an end. Gypsy Joe dodging a jammer hit, facing off against just the 2 Redneck Betties blockers at the front end. Ultimately getting caught up with her own teammate. Bellicose Blonde getting through for lead jam. Gypsy Go continuing to work for her initial pass, getting pushed out on the inside from General Lee.
Bellicose Blonde looking for a spot to try and get through there as Slamazonian and General Lee were formed a team there on Gypsy Joe, who's now able to get through for their initial pass. Bellicose Blonde dragged back there. She resets and takes it safe as she puts her hands on her hips. Going to get marked 4 points for the Redneck Betties. Gypsy Joe not able to grab anything for that one. As we get down to the final seconds, Redneck Betties now at 170. Nuclear Free Boom at 147.
So Pixelated lining up against Morador. Both teams once again at full strength on the track. Boom choosing to call a team timeout. Ultimately that pauses the game clock.
Called that at just the right time as we're down to 3 seconds on that time clock.
So one jam still does provide a lot of opportunity to get the points. Right now we're mathing, 30-ish points. That's still very doable in a jam, so there'll be a lot of strategy on how to take advantage of this last jam situation. So lining up as jammer for Boom is Lady Macbeth against Pixelated. So with that, we're into our last jam. Lady Macdeath taking advantage of a bit of a hole created by Pixelated. However, it gets pushed out before turn 2. A couple big hits. She does manage to get lead jam after some big hits. This means that right now, Boom is in control of this jam. Lady Macdeath getting through for some points. Meanwhile, now a power jam situation as the Redneck Betty's jammer takes a seat in the box.
Lady Macdeath now getting chased by Melker, who tries to stop her. Lady Macdeath's going to get through and grab 5. Looks like a cut track penalty given to Bash and Bindi as well. Lady Macdeath going to try and grab some more here.
Boom blockers stepping up, also getting a little shove there from Fish to try to make it through that last end.
Lady Macdeath able to grab another 5 points on that one.
This is exactly the kind of jam you want to end the game with, nice and exciting. Lady Macdeath getting through for another round of points. Meanwhile, Pixelated being held up by Gypsy Joe. A lot of action in turn 2, a lot of excitement here in the room. The crowd's going wild. That was a great jam for Lady Macdeath, closing that gap in that final jam by 20 points, 21 points. So it looks like it might just be too short, but that's a great way to end the game.
What an extremely exciting game coming right down to the wire as we wait for our official score. That was some fantastic work on both the blockers and their defense, and their offense was fantastic as well.
Yeah, that really takes a team effort, that sort of final jam.
Final score is in. Redneck Betties are the victors with 170 points, and the Nuclear Free Boom finished with 168. Of course, now is the time to line up along that track. Shake hands, tell the ladies and gentlemen how well they did. That was a fantastic game to watch. We thank you all very much, and of course our next game is going to start in roughly a half an hour, 8 o'clock. CRDA All-Stars versus the Glenmore Reservoir Dogs. So come on back, check that out. It's been fantastic calling for you. My name is Fat Boy.
And my name is Lanaconda.
And we will talk to you later.